It's not often you set a 2-million-year-old record, but planet Earth just did it. Scientists who keep tabs on our atmosphere report that the level of carbon dioxide, the greenhouse gas that accounts for most global warming and climate change, is higher now than it's been since long before humans evolved. Let's learn more now from Jeffrey Kluger. He's a senior writer for Time Magazine. Jeffrey, good morning.
Good morning.
So how serious is this, and how concerned should we be?
It is serious, and we should be concerned. The last time the parts per million of CO2 in the atmosphere, they're currently 400 ppm, were this high was 2 million years ago during the Pleistocene era. There were forests in Greenland, and sea levels were 66 feet higher than they are right now. What this means is we are on the west side of Manhattan at this moment. If this keeps up to what it was back then, we would be swimming at this address.
And my understanding is that plants and animals can adjust when CO2 levels rise, but just not when it rises this quickly.
Well, that's exactly right. Plants and animals do adjust. They acclimate very easily to this, but it takes centuries and even millennia for this to happen. If we're at 400 now, we were at 315 back in 1958. That is way too fast for anything, humans, plants, any kind of the ecosystem to adapt to this.
Who's responsible for this? Us, ultimately, right?
Us, ultimately. The world puts out 2.4 million pounds of CO2 per second. The #1 contributor right now is China at 10 billion tons per year. We're #2 at 5.9 billion tons. You can watch this happening on time.com. We currently have a series of Landsat time-lapse photos from space. You can see Columbia Glacier in Alaska retreating at a rate of 98 feet per day.
So what are the most realistic ways to turn this around? And I thought the international community was working on this at least a little bit.
A little bit is the key word here. The goal right now, you would think would be ambitious. It's not. It's just to allow the increase to continue until it reaches about 450 and then have everybody settle in at that. Well, that means greater warming, greater CO2 increase in the atmosphere is baked into our plans now. And those are our ambitious plans. We have to tackle this aggressively. It's a little bit like saying you're very overweight and I'm willing to put on 50 more pounds before I begin losing.
So what do we have to do, Jeffrey?
We have to curb the use of fossil fuels. The most egregious one is coal. We are one of the world's leading coal producers. China is one of the world's leading coal consumers, as are we. We are sort of feeding their habit. We have to dial back fast to renewables, to wind, to solar, to hydroelectric, to anything that is renewable and doesn't produce CO2. That's the biggest thing we have to do right now. We're making a good conversion to hybrid vehicles, to electric vehicles, but it's this output into the atmosphere, particularly of coal exhaust, that's the biggest contributor.
And you talked about what it does to the oceans. What does it do to people?
Well, people are, I mean, we're going to survive in terms of just our bodies because, you know, most of the world is developed sufficiently so we can accommodate this. But we were looking just this morning at a massive hailstorm. I think it was in San Antonio, Texas. We have, a lot of people say that the term global warming is a wrong term. It's global weirding. We're going to see increased volatility in weather, increased extreme events, and people lose their lives when these kinds of things happen.
All right, Jeffrey Kluger, the headline here is Manhattan will not exist if this keeps up. Thanks for being with us this morning.
Thank you.